Welcome to The Explainer, where we break down big ideas. And today, wow, we are tackling a huge one, the meaning of suffering itself.
I mean, this is one of humanity's oldest questions, right? We're going to explore a really profound answer from way back in the 4th century, from a theologian named Gregory of Nyssa. And his take? Suffering isn't punishment. Nope, he saw it as a necessary part of this epic journey back to who we really are. So let's unpack his vision of the soul's journey.
Okay, so we're going to follow his map. We'll look at the soul's divine longing, the cleansing process, what suffering really means in this view, and finally, the journey's end, reunion.
All right, let's start at the very beginning. For Gregory, the soul's journey doesn't kick off from a place of, being inherently bad or corrupt. Quite the opposite. It starts from this deep, innate connection to the divine, a connection that's just been kind of buried or forgotten.
So Gregory's argument is that every single soul has this fundamental nature that just yearns for God. You can almost think of it like a magnetic pull. You know how you're naturally drawn to something beautiful or something that feels genuinely good? He's saying our soul is like that, but it's fundamentally pointed toward its source, the ultimate good.
Okay, but wait. This raises a huge question, doesn't it? If our souls are inherently divine and pulled toward the good, then why does life so often feel, well, painful, messy, and totally disconnected from that source? What's the deal?
Gregory has this really powerful metaphor to explain this gap. He says the soul gets attached to all this earthly stuff, our passions, our anxieties, our vices, and in doing so, it becomes like a beautiful house that's just fallen into ruin. The foundation, the good part, it's still there, but it's buried under a whole lot of rubble.
All right, so if the soul is a house in ruins, how in the world do you fix it? Well, this brings us to what is probably the most intense part of the whole journey, this transformative process of purification.
And we're not talking about a minor renovation here, like a new coat of paint. This is a complete down-to-the-studs rebuilding of the self. The whole point of the process is to separate the soul's true nature from all that foreign material it's gotten mixed up with. It's about moving from ruin to total restoration.
Now, to make this idea, which is pretty abstract, feel more concrete, Gregory uses some incredibly vivid analogies. And what's key here is that he wants us to see this cleansing as a careful separation, not just some brutal destruction.
So first up, he compares it to refining gold. Think about it. You take this impure gold and you stick it in the fire. The intense heat isn't there to destroy the gold itself, right? Its job is to burn away all the dross, all the worthless stuff mixed in with it. And what comes out? Pure, precious metal. The fire, in this case, is actually a tool for purification.
And, just in case the image of a cleansing fire wasn't intense enough for you, he's got another really powerful illustration. This one really drives home how this necessary process can also be, well, pretty painful. Okay, so picture this. You've got a rope. It's been lying in thick, sticky mud for so long that the mud has completely hardened onto it. It's basically become part of the rope. Now, how do you clean it? You have to drag it, pull it, through a really narrow hole, forcefully scraping off every single bit of that caked-on gunk. That scraping is going to be harsh, for sure, but the rope comes out clean on the other side. For Gregory, that is the soul being pulled free from all its earthly attachments.
So this forceful scraping, this burning fire, it sounds a whole lot like punishment, doesn't it? But this is where Gregory makes an absolutely crucial distinction. He argues we need to see it in a completely different light. Here's the key takeaway. Suffering is not retribution. It's not payback. Think of it as divine medicine. That pain we feel, that's the evil, the attachments, the vices, being literally separated from our true good nature. It's not a punishment, it's a cure.
And Gregory takes this idea even further, which is so fascinating. This process isn't random. It's not endless. The pain is directly proportional to the impurity. In other words, the treatment is perfectly tailored to the sickness. Nothing more, nothing less. So, the intensity and the length of this painful purification, it's all directly related to how much impure stuff needs to be cleared out. Let's go back to those analogies. The more dross mixed in with the gold, the longer it needs the fire. The more hardened mud is caked on that rope, the more scraping it's going to take to get it clean.
Okay, let's move on to the final stage. This is where it all comes together in a really powerful and honestly hopeful conclusion. So after all the fire, after all the scraping, what's left?
Well, after being cleansed of every single thing that is foreign to its nature, the soul is finally free. It's not weighed down anymore by the rubble and ruin of its past attachments. It becomes light. It becomes pure, and it's finally able to reunite with its source.
And this right here, this is the beautiful destination of the entire journey. The soul, now totally pure, can finally be one with the divine. And here's the kicker. It's not becoming something new. It's simply returning to what it was all along. It's a homecoming.
So Gregory of Nyssa's ideas, which are, 1,600 years old, completely reframe suffering. It's not a punishment, but a difficult, but ultimately hopeful process of restoration. And that leaves us with a question that's just as powerful today as it was back then. If our true essence is divine goodness, what are the ruins in us that need clearing away?